across Birkenhead. This might just go up here, I'm not sure. So 220 individual children use the services just over the 1 week in half term. 3 hot meals a day were provided, and 40 parents of the children were actively engaged as well, which is really, really brilliant. So this is kind of pretty much us. So what I think the last few months we really want to get across is, regardless of whether the Department of Education materialises or not with the money, we've really started to work really hard on a Wirral-wide approach to this, and that is massively to the credit of the projects who have come to lots and lots of meetings around it. We've started to look at a community food provider list, so there's a lot of projects who identify that maybe they can deliver play schemes, but they can't deliver the food element. So we're putting together a list of other projects who can support with that, dropping off lunches, and looking at the quality of the food. So we're hoping to be able to offer allergy awareness and food safety to volunteers from all of the projects, to grow them as well, and to give them a bit of a thank you, and here's something you can take with you in life. We've worked with lifelong learning, looking at how we can support those parents we're seeing who are maybe out of work or in low paid work to get more qualifications, and to make that as easy, as accessible as possible. And again, creating more than just a stick and plaster approach to food insecurity. So I'm going to finish on just saying that, you know, keep food in the forefront of your mind, really. You know, this is happening every day. It's not just for holidays, and it's something that everyone in our community is probably going to be touched by at some point. So, thank you very much. Here's George.
Very briefly, just want to talk about Beechwood and where we're having food. I suppose it was 2016 when I think it was when did you actually start, Joe?
215.
215. It was in 2016 we became involved on Beechwood with his church, which is this Christian charity which we've liaised with. We went over to Lincolnshire and visited the warehouse, and there's massive three warehouses full of food and all kinds of other things. So we've been working with his church since then. What we actually do, we get some food off Fair Share once a week, which is a limited amount, but we, through the support of the constituency panel, we actually got some funding which enabled us to buy pallets. And sorry, I used the wrong word. You make a donation to get these pallets, and the value is 150 quid plus £30 for carriage, so that's £180, and there's a value on that pallet, whatever it is, of about £1,100. That's what it's actually worth. So since 2016 and up until now, this month, we've actually had 46 pallets. So that it works out that somewhere around £48,000 value has actually gone into the community on the Beechwood. The other areas that we've found difficulty with is that if you look at the media and you look at the government, they actually get the figures in relation to food poverty based on the Trust. Most of these, there's lots and lots of small food banks, food larders, who are providing food, and they're not actually feeding that information into the main system. So whatever the million so people using food banks, I think we can double that, to be quite frank with you. That's how bad it is. So it was what we find in the areas we're struggling with, if you're involved with the Trust, is in relation to gas and electricity, where people are struggling with that, and you can go along and you may get some help, you know, with your gas and electricity. We sort of had a bit of a fundraiser and have used some of our own money, where we get people come, you know, we've got 2 kids, got no gas, no electric on, and we're not going to stand there in judgment and say, sorry, how did you get here? What we actually do is say, look, okay, and we give them maybe 20 for the gas, 20 for the electric. They go to the shop and they come back with the receipt, and that's the way we cover it and make sure the money is spent there. Then the other area that we've had some experience with is funeral poverty, where people are struggling to bury their loved ones, and it's quite an emotional thing for people to talk about, and a very private thing. So we've actually teamed up with a company called Simple Send-Offs, who are based in Wallasey, and I think they've been here to, you know, to one of the constituency meetings, or we were going to invite them along, but where you're looking at sort of a funeral will cost you £5,000, they will actually do a decent funeral for £2,200. And there's certain conditions, but I mean, if you're struggling to bury your loved one, you're not going to be bothered about that. Christmas, we did approximately, I think it was 280 hampers that was supported by the big local and some of the constituency money, which went out to residents, and we also got some toys from Radio City's Appeal, and we actually gave those out. So I suppose I was quite critical of the constituency panel when they first started, so much so that I actually wrote to whoever the chief executive was at that time and told him that I thought it was a waste of time, you know, because of the amount of money involved. But I would say that with Birkenhead Constituency panel, that's actually completely changed my mind, and we've had a good working relationship, Joe and Sheila and you know, and everyone else, and it's actually impacted on the people of Beechwood. So you know, let's see what the future holds for us.
Yeah, thanks, George. Any questions, comments while we set up the other slides? Steve? Yeah, Frank?
I'm Frank Harrison. I'm a resident of the area, but also basically trustee for here. What's also important, especially we've identified the food poverty, but it's also basically what's going on as well as the food. It's not just food, the food. One of the things, for example, is about what the children, it's called community cohesion. It's basically getting the positives out of the negatives. Because when you have communities like Bidston, like Birkenhead, if this wasn't available to them, we just recently basically received the news about the knife crime, about the gang crime, where basically children basically as young as 7 are getting sucked into this type of crime. These are the organisations that are delivering the alternative on a daily basis. So one of the things is have a look at that. Value for money is not just about pounds, shillings and pence. Value for money is that kid who's 7 years of age has got a future. In parts of London, and my daughter lives in those parts of London that's been affected at the moment. Those kids at 7 years of old have got no future. They're actually getting picked up on a daily basis. And despite what the government says and what the police is saying, they're actually powerless. They're getting picked up at basically outside the schools. So we've got to support this, constantly support it. And one of the things George says is I'm also vice chair of Birkenhead Lions. This year we put over 1,000 Christmas presents. What I'll say to you, on Christmas Eve, I basically had 4 families that I went to on Christmas Eve who had no food and had no presents, but they had children. And that's what we're basically up against, what the President wants to say.
Frank, through us, can you pass on back to the Lions? Thanks for your ongoing support, because you've been doing it for years, I know.
Well, it's very quickly, Steve, it's all about that. It's not just about one aspect, it's about everything. It's about looking for another 10 or 15 years where we're going to be.
Okay, thanks for that, Frank. Sheila?
What I would say to add to Frank and what George has said is what the Birkenhead Constituency, since I've been working with you all, has achieved in my eyes is the way you've worked in partnership to take these things forward, you know, from the police to all the teams and the community to the councillors. You've all spoken to each other. No, people have stopped working in isolation, and it opens a whole new roads and avenues. And the Birkenhead Constituency, I feel more than the others, has really worked well and achieved that.
I will pay credit to Joe and Andy as well, because yeah, and it doesn't work without these guys, believing me. You know, the life of a councillor is bonkers, and without these people at the centre coordinating and pointing us in the right direction, it would be a fairly erratic affair. But we seem to have our act together, and we don't want to lose that impetus either. You know, under any new structure or wherever we're going. What's working well, we'll try and keep working well. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Right. Okay. If we move on to the next showcase, then. Okay. So it's
Nikki and Sheila, and it's our environmental.
Nikki and Sheila, and it's the environmental action.
What do you want me to do, Lily?
I rang up the other day and said, can I have a skip outside the house? And the fella said, it's a free country, you do what you want.
Oh, some hopscotch as well. We'll be travelling back, you know.
Okay, I'm going to talk about our community environmental action days. And I know a lot of you have been on the schemes, you've actually witnessed what goes on. So apologise to you all who know. Let me just check I've got this right. What do action days do? Well, it's a really mixed bag. From cleaning alleyways to weed clearing, talking to residents. We meet with various partners coming. It could be to report a lamppost out. We work very, very much with the community payback team. We've got a very good relation. Sorry, I've just kicked the table and it moved over on its own. And we've got a very good relationship with the community payback team. These are our other partners that we work with, which is quite a range. We probably miss people out because we're working in groups all the time. Okay, Sheila. I am with the benefits. Oh, sorry, I think, yeah. Come up, yeah. Keep skipping. Sorry. Benefits of skips to Birkenhead. Reduce huge amount of fly tippings. We're seeing it on a daily basis. We were at Harrowby Street this week. Yeah, and the tonnage levels coming out. And why do we do it? It's because some people just cannot get to the tip. They can't afford to get there. They might not have the means to get there. And this gives them an opportunity to get the stuff out of their house and clear the alleyways. It's improving the neighbourhood, but there's very many positives to this. What we're witnessing is in certain streets, residents are saying they're talking to their neighbours for the very first time. So I think that's really hugely positive, and there are examples of one street now wanting to form a residents association through just going in and doing this. And the last one encourages residents to take pride in their community.
It's my turn to speak, and I've been warned not to rub it on, so I'll try and keep on. Operation Sparkle was working with the Birkenhead Bid team, which the Birkenhead Bid team work in all the different streets it's listed, and they delivered in partnership with the community payback team, with the volunteers, support from Costa Coffee and the police, and they worked together on all those individual streets in the retail areas. They moved tons of rubbish, they litter picked in each of all the areas as well, and they made all the areas a better place, what the residents and the shopkeepers all said, a better place to shop and work. Can't ask for more. Operation Banger, next one, as it's an appropriate name because it was working in conjunction with the fire brigade. In the 2 weeks before Christmas, again, the community payback team, the volunteers and everybody in partnership organised skips to get rid of the rubbish that normally start all secondary fires everywhere. They showed how, the next slide shows how many skips were used, how many tip runs they did, and how the estimated amount of waste that was cleared. Now, at the town hall in Wallasey, we had a kind of a thank you day for the amount of work that the community payback team had done. And Ben Ryder, who was the group manager of the fire service, actually came down congratulated the work that everybody had done, and he got quite emotional because he said that because of all the work of everybody working together, it meant that the main fire, what do they call them, fire appliances rather than fire engines now, were then free to deal with the more serious fires, which inevitably could possibly have saved lives on those days.
And here's some examples. We've got a whole raft of photographs to see the difference. Here again, this is in Rockferry. Sorry, this is moving on its own. I keep treading on a wire on the floor and it's jumping over. At one time this was a scheme when somebody wanted some lovely planters. What happens is people are transient, they move on. The next lot of residents, it's neglected. We have a problem of rats. We've got in touch with the community payback team. They clear it all, they take all the weed clearance down, and on the right is the example of the finished article, and they jet wash down as well. So you can see that's magnificent. And then there's another example of Jessamine, and these are quite often what we're coming across. Is just obviously not all the couches are in Birkenhead, and again there's the answer. Bentinck Street was part of Operation Banger. We were asked to rid the streets and all the alleyways or any combustibles. That's moved over again, sorry. I think it's on the timer.
I think it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. And we even brought the National Health with us, who heart monitored, took people's blood pressure. So we also tried to make it a bit of a community event as well. We were quite heavily involved with Harcourt Street, Sheila. Again,
That was Julie
yeah.
and Liz.
We actually put up some hanging baskets here with the help of our local councillor, Julie. Sorry, it's turned again. It's definitely on the timer.
So it's green fingers.
Again, this road is going to get a residents' association together, so that's very, very encouraging.
Yeah.
Beechwood. As you know, I work quite closely with the community in Beechwood, and there's been several clean-ups. The Love Where You Live that came from the Birkenhead Constituency as well, where everybody got, the majority of people got a little pick bag and vests and everything has been borrowed by the scouts in different schools. Our 3 local councillors in Beechwood joined up and did several clean-ups, and we've got a few more planned as well. And what's also good is the Birkenhead constituency also gave different community groups money to enter the In Bloom. So everybody's taken a pride in the place. Everybody suddenly wants to be part of the In Bloom. Like Harcourt Street, they're going to enter the In Bloom next year because we cleaned up the streets, cleaned up the alleyways, and now they're speaking with Julie and saying, well, we want to enter this In Bloom. So what you've done is inspired all these people to work in the different areas with the different projects that you've done. And also, as I said before, working in partnership with the police, with the fire service, with the community, with the payback team, it's just brilliant. And with all the councillors, and each and every clean that we've done, the local councillors have turned out for them, all the different ones. Yeah.
And the bottom right hand picture is a beautiful picture of what can be achieved by In Bloom.
Grange Precinct was one, as I spoke before, with the big team. Again, the councillors, the community payback, everybody came out, and you can see the vast difference there. Harrowby Road, we just did Harrowby Road again last week, and apparently we did it in 2016 as well. So Pat is there doing his bit. I think you're on the next page.
A little bit later on that one.
Sorry, I thought it was on that one. Yeah, so all good. And we've even got a little a brew, what Joe calls it, a brew pot now. So we make sure, a brew point, we take a box with teas and coffees and
Sheila's hatchback car.
Continues.
Although we've got pictures.
Prentondale, we work closely with Prentondale, Alan Dollery, from the community shop. He did a few In Blooms around Prentondale. There was a couple, everyone was really excited, went from 1 to 3 this year. And then because they're suddenly putting flowers everywhere, they suddenly want everywhere painted and benches and created and new litter bins. So Alan was really chuffed working with Ange to do all these different things around Prentondale, and the community are really chuffed, and they're doing lots more, and they're hoping that the Birkenhead constituency will be able to give them money again for this year's in bloom, because the people are there, and it's just given a few £100 to buy the plants makes a massive difference to a lot of people. Cllr Street, one of the ones we've done in Rock Ferry, nobody's been left out. The councillors with Joe have made sure it's across the board, and all the councillors are talking to each other, so they're just doing all individual ones. There's loads more planned, so hopefully you'll decide that it's all worthwhile and keep paying the community payback team, and keep paying for the skips, which is paramount to have.
Holly Grove was recently done. This is a good example of when we get a referral through. Referrals can come through general public, ward councillors, or come through our own Birkenhead recycling team. And look at this, it's just unbelievable. And I think people have got to live their lives and look at this. And my always thing is, I think of the lovely residents who must be so relieved when we come along and do this. But that is just the sheer size. That filled a skip. I was there with under an hour. Community payback. It's what the people on community payback as well. We mustn't forget that, because they find it very rewarding. And I must take my hat off. They are lads, so I'm not excluding girls. It's a male team. And they're absolutely brilliant. And the supervisors as well. They're just magnificent. This is a picture of what we're faced with. Large, we couldn't even get up there. So we had to send community payback off site. It was too dangerous. They do risk assessments, and they do have sharp boxes for needles. They wear the proper boots, etc. But that then I sent that on then to our enforcement section for them to deal with. Barton Street car park.
This is last week.
That was horrendous. The photographs do not give the justice to how bad it was. I couldn't get near it, and I haven't got much smell, but that was dreadful. I can only repeat that. And when you look at the bottom far right, results. This is the bit when Harrowby
That was our latest one.
yeah.
Monday.
Must be an awful lot of new settees.
But yeah, that's the sale that never ends. Examples of general waste that we come across.
Yeah, some areas are so bad. So, you know, Joe will order 2 or 3 skips, and then we have to, go back and order a few more, because the community payback team, God bless them, we load them on the vans, and then we get a skip for them the next morning and fill them back up.
I've just got to highlight the picture in the middle at the top, which is Sheila's Mini.
Oh,
It's a hatchback, and it makes a really good green point, and it's fantastic with Sheila, because you have been to water in the morning to get milk and coffee and tea, but it does not make a difference, because the police are quite often there, the community payback team are there, environmental team are there, well we're all there, and so that we've got those cakes made by one of our friends is a cake maker, and we've put the Wirral Together logo on rice paper, and just as a way of like trying to bring all the different partners together around a cup of tea, and it's a great place to network. So it's quite a useful thing to have.
All the residents come out and say, oh, what's going on together? And then you're able to say, well, actually, so that's good as well. Harrowby Road. Yeah. This is a picture of Pat Cleary. We're always around before. We've got the police van in, because we just wanted to make sure that you see, all of us together and all the different partners. Again, it's just showing all the roads.
What I would like to say is we do have to be careful about confidentiality issues, so you're not seeing many people at work, especially the community payback team. You only take photographs statutory from behind.
Well, we said, community payback team, we say we haven't paid them a great deal of money because they are community payback and paying it back, but because our constituency did pay some of your constituency monies, you can see from those figures the amount of hours, what it equates to, and the impact they're having. And not only that, they're really the lads that, you know, majority of the lads, that, you know, they are turning up to come and do it, and they are doing it in good faith, and they are giving back, and they are feeling good, and they, you know, they're recognising us now, you know, they're saying, you know, morning Sheila, how are you getting on, because they're seeing us again. So it's a really positive mood, so I really do hope we can keep that, you know, the youth way forward, we can keep all this going. And as I said before as well, Joe organised at the town hall a thank you to them, and all the partners did, the police, the fire service, and it was, you know, and they all sat there, and, you know, they got a bit bored because we were rabbiting on for a little while, but generally, they were, when we went to Harrowby Road the other day, he said, "Do you remember me, Sheila, sitting next to you on the couch?" And he was very proud to have been there at the town hall. So that's all good, all positive.
We've just got a few impact statements now. The first one from Councillor Kenny. I'm not going to read through them all for you, but I'll take you on to the next one. They're here if you want to see them. Rock Ferry Ward. All the different schemes we do, that's fields. It could be alleyways, fields, schools, anywhere. Sorry, I missed that one there. That's Harcourt Street. We've decked them out with plants as well. That was an excellent one. There was lots of different agencies involved. And finally, we put a resident in of Oriel Road in Rock Ferry, who's been ever so grateful. We've had to do this road a number of times. We've had quite a few action days with the police and fire service on that road as well. So that's it. So thank you very much.
Any questions, comments? Julie?
I'd just like to make a comment to you three, because it's not just like Steve said before about the what you do with the constituency funds. Without you three, particularly as the you three and Andy, we wouldn't be able to do our job. And I think Wirral is, especially with the environment projects, you've just seen them, it's a much cleaner place because of all the hard work you do.
Did I join the council to be a bin lady?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other comments?
It's community payback, people doing community service. Just wanted to, yeah, just checking.
Okay, yeah. No? Okay, so great sort of year's work in reflection. Just need to be careful again, Joe, that you approach us that jointly we can use the new funding source to make sure momentum, that the momentum is kept going. And you know, we did that. I think me and Stewie didn't notice anything in Oxton or Clawton there, so we'll be looking for the next one out. Either me or Stuart, because you know, fair shares, you know. Okay, so if that, okay, that's that. There's nothing on the agenda about questions. Do we know? Would we normally take?
There's no questions, and there's no AOB.
There's no AOB, no questions. Can I thank everyone for attending? And let's all stay positive and make sure the new system works and we keep connected. I do think there will be times when we want to get members of the public and we want to talk to them and we want to showcase the members of the public. Perhaps we can all think about how we would make an event interesting enough for ordinary people to turn up. With the best will in the world, I know all your faces and you're committed, or one should be committed. But you're committed to what you're doing. I know that it's getting beyond that other layer of people to bring new people through, because you know that's what it's all about. Is you know, more people coming in through the system. But we'll all have a think about that, and if we can have a special event, a celebration of environmental events, a celebration of the food hub stuff, and then invite people in. Let's work together, okay? So thanks everybody, and let's look forward to a bright new future. Okay? Thanks a lot for attending.